Hello, I am Alexa Donne. Welcome to my very first YouTube video for Authortube, which I am really happy to be joining. I was convinced to finally get on here and start making videos by a dear friend of mine who has been nagging me to get on here, who I will talk about in just a second, because I'm going to be doing the Authortube Newbie Tag. And I'll start with question number one, which is, how did you find out about Authortube? And I have been hearing about Authortube since the beginning from my friend Lily Mead. I've known Lily for almost 3 years, and she is a prolific YouTuber. She creates amazing videos. And I, started watching them, and I was like, hey, this looks really awesome. I'm excited to join the community and, make some videos myself. Question number 2, what genres do you write in? I am a science fiction and fantasy girl. I love speculative. I would definitely possibly write mystery and thriller suspense in the future, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a sci-fi fantasy angle to those stories. I like it when things are twisty and weird. Question number 3, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? So my one true love is third person past tense. I don't always write in third person past tense, and in fact my debut novel is written in first person past tense. But some of my favorite books to read, a lot of fantasies, especially urban fantasies, are written in this POV and tense, and I find them engaging and highly readable. I mean, Harry Potter is written in third person past tense. It's amazing. And my category is young adult fiction. I love YA, though someday I can definitely see myself writing an adult book, and I have a couple of plot bunnies that would work really well for that. But I almost exclusively read YA, especially for fiction, and I adore writing it. Question number 4, are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser? I am a proud pantser. I love flying by the seat of my pants. I have an idea, and I tend to have, characters in mind and an arc. I like to write to a romance arc, and I'm actually going to make a whole video about how much I love pantsing. It's going to be one of my first ones. But I guess technically, if we're splitting hairs, I am kind of a plantser, because I do tend to have core story beats in mind when I write. And that kind of counts as the middle of the road. But generally speaking, I will come up with entire subplots and often the end as I write. I invent characters, I come up with new villains, and to me that's the joy of pantsing. Question number 5, are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? So I am in the middle category. I have a book deal. I just got that, and my book will be coming out a little less than a year from now, so May 1st, 2018. But I was in the yet to be published aspiring pool for the last 4 years. So I have had a relatively long journey, like 4 years from the point where I started writing seriously towards publication to getting a book deal. So it'll be 5 years by the time my book comes out, and I will make all sorts of videos about that. 6, what publishing company, literary agent, and/or printing company are you represented by or use? My literary agent is Alana Roth Parker of Laura Dale Literary. I've been represented by her for a little over a year. I am being published by HMH Teen, which is a division of Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. And fun fact, I don't know if I'm saying that right. It might be Houghton Mifflin, and the irony is that I used to work there. So I think it's kind of funny. But I get to call it HMH Teen, which is a nice short phrase that you can't really mess up. And if you want to find HMH Teen, that is their handle on all major social media platforms. And they have an awesome social media team. You can find out all about their titles. My book is called Brightly Burning. It is a YA retelling of Jane Eyre set in space. So that's going to be coming out May 1st, 2018 from HMH Teen. 7, what Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? And I am all about bringing the realness to publishing. I greatly admire those who have come before me and still tread the path incredibly well. I love Beth Revis and Susan Dennard, who have been keeping it real about publishing for years. They have been my guiding light in figuring all this out. And I want to give a bit of that back. You know, I'm taking my journey in the publishing industry in a slightly new and different and exciting and scary market. It's a lot harder to get a literary agent now, though there are more of them than there used to be, especially who represent YA, but that brings all sorts of new dangers, like who can you even trust? Who can really sell your book? And I've had my ups and downs in my career, and I want to tell people what it's really like. Submission is the worst, and it is harder than ever. And once you have a book deal, nothing is guaranteed. Like, you know, you can get a book deal and your book can fail and then your career's over. And I just kind of brought the mood way down here, but that's what I'm really into. It's kind of like real talk, but I always come with the practical stuff. Like, I have tons of advice and tips and tricks. I approach it all positively. I think that if you arm yourself with knowledge and you love writing and you love books and you love your genre and you pour your soul into your book, but remain really pragmatic about the industry and kind of approach it, you know, kind of with, you know, you expect the worst, so to speak, not in a pessimistic way. But then when the good stuff happens, it's just really awesome. So, you know, I like to keep it real. And in addition to that, I have just all sorts of stuff that I would love to talk about outside of Authortube as well. I do college essay advising, so I basically help teenagers write their college admissions essays, and it's a passion area for me. I love education, and I really believe that college, you know, can change your life. Like, a good education can change your life, and in this country, that means going to college. I was a lower income student whose life was completely changed by an amazing college scholarship. I love my alma mater. I will talk about it a lot. Boston University, go Terriers. And I spend a lot of my time helping underprivileged teens as well as private clients get into the schools of their dreams. Though I don't advocate dream schools, which is a whole other thing. I also don't advocate dream agents or dream publishers. Your dream agent, publisher, school should be the one that loves you, loves your book, whichever one is applicable, and accepts you. And in the case of college, the one who gives you a lot of money. In the case of books, the one that gives you a lot of money is not always the best publisher, but we'll get into that in future videos. But that's just like a little snapshot of some of the things that I will be talking about. And there will also definitely be a video where I wax poetic about Paula's Choice, which is the skincare that I use. I discovered it on YouTube and it's changed my life. So I have a lot of things to talk about. Number 8, when did you start writing? I am one of those super cliche writers. I mean, I think we all say this where, oh, I've written my whole life. And that's basically true. I'm one of those. But specifically, I focused on journalism for a really long time. I decided when I was 16 that I really wanted to be a journalist. And I went to school for journalism. I have a degree in it. I had some really cool internships and part-time jobs. And then getting a job as a journalist was a whole other thing. So I work in marketing, which I really enjoy. It actually turns out it's even better for me than journalism ever was, though my heart still is with journalism, and I really respect good journalists. And beyond that, I wrote fan fiction. I've been writing fan fiction really for as long as I can remember, because I'm one of those people who wrote a Babysitter's Club novel and didn't know that I was writing fan fiction. But later I wrote Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan fiction, and I did Harry Potter fandom and fan fiction for a really long time. So 9, what is the first story you ever wrote? Well, I just mentioned it. It's the one that I remember mostly because my mother tells me about it. She's so proud. She's convinced I wrote a Babysitter's Club novel when I was 8 or 9 that was better than the actual series, and I think she's full of it. I think that's mom goggles, where like your parents think that you're like the best ever, you're the most talented human being on the planet, and I love her for that thing. Bless her for thinking that I'm the best writer ever and that I bested Anna and Martin, but no. 10. What authors have inspired your writing? So many, and I kind of already touched on the big one that I think had a huge influence, and that is Harry Potter. This is my original copy too. I bought this in London in I can't remember anymore. I bought this in London in 2001. That is when I started reading the series. Before the movie, but you know, the fourth one had just come out. I was an exchange student in Germany, and I had nothing to read because the library only had 3 books in English, and I had read the 2 that I wanted to because no one has time for Treasure Island. And someone told me about Harry Potter. And I borrowed their books and I breezed through the first 4. So then I picked up my very own copy when I went to London. And I love this book. As I said, I was in Harry Potter fandom. I wrote fan fiction. And what J.K. Rowling did with world building and characters and long-term, the long game of her writing, like the red herrings and the mystery arcs and, you know, where the characters start and end and the foreshadowing. I mean, I think she's a genius. She created a world and characters that people passionately care about enough to dedicate hours and hours and hours of their life. And I did that. I spent years spending, you know, every waking hour on LiveJournal when I wasn't in class, talking about Harry Potter and writing Harry Potter fan fiction. And I've done Harry Potter fan conventions, and I love her and I love this book. And I think that you definitely there's Harry Potter inspiration in a lot of what I write. I think a lot of us are like that, even though I write sci-fi, which is nothing like Harry Potter. But I think that's how it should be with your inspirations. And then I have to give a shout out to Jasper Fforde and the Heir Affair. It is, you know, perfect that this book is about Jane Eyre, but it is the most bizarre speculative fiction, and I discovered this in college, and it kind of blew my mind with what a book could do, what speculative, in this case, adult fiction could be. It's an alternate universe Britain where, you know, Britain has been in the Crimean War for over 100 years. Like, the war never ended, and fiction is like a fandom. Like, literary fiction is a fandom, which it should be, let's be honest. Maybe this book just predicted the future. But they take literature really seriously, and Thursday can jump into fiction. Like, she can go into the world of books because books are real in this series. And a supervillain has kidnapped Jane Eyre from the original manuscript. And when he does that, she disappears from every copy of Jane Eyre on the planet and alters and changes the story. And then, go figure, I wrote a Jane Eyre retelling as my debut novel. I mean, I have loved Jane Eyre since I was a preteen. So Jasper Fforde is a huge inspiration. And just the way that he's so inventive with his world building. And again, characters that you care about. And especially this book has an older female main character who is badass and ages and has gray hair and is smart and also incredibly capable, and the men are her sidekicks. And that was huge for me as well at the time that I read it, because it's mind blown. And that was before I started voraciously devouring YA, which wasn't a genre at the time, which tells you a lot about how old I am. I'm 33, I'm not that old. And then last but not least, because I am limiting myself to 3 inspirations, but this is a really big one for me, Beth Revis and Across the Universe, which is the YA book that just changed everything for me. It was the first YA sci-fi that I read. And it showed me the possibilities of what I could do in YA fiction. I mean, it's a page turner. It has this amazing mystery. The characters are just layered and compelling, and the romance is really good. But the romance doesn't overshadow the other story elements. It is a book of just perfect balance. And Beth has been a friend and a mentor to me for years, and I have to give her so much credit for the fact that I wrote this book and got an agent for it and have a book deal. So I love you, Beth Revis. So, 11, do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you find the time? Both. I do have a writing schedule when I actively draft, and that is that I write at night. I write at either 10 or 11 p.m. every night when possible when actively drafting. And I get home at around 7, I eat dinner, I watch some television, and then I turn off everything and I write for at least an hour. And that is my routine, nighttime writer. But I do sometimes get incredibly inspired at other times of the day. So I have been known to write through my lunch hour at work. And then on the weekends, I mean, I'll write whenever I can on the weekends. Like, there's no specific time on the weekends. 12. Do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? Oh, computer all the way. I can't imagine using any other method, because when I am creatively on and I'm like ready to write, my brain moves way faster than any medium other than typing on a laptop can possibly capture. I'm a very fast typer because I learned to touch type when I was in middle school. Thank you. I thought it was the stupidest class, but it really paid off. And I use Scrivener, which is my favorite word processing tool. I recommend it to everyone, and I will probably have an entire video about that as well. And last but not least, 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you're a part of Authortube? The community. I've had my eye on YouTube. I watch YouTube videos all the time. I love what BookTube has done and the beginnings of Authortube. I love people sharing knowledge and like having cute, fun videos with really good information online, and the community and conversation that arises out of that. And also, honestly, I love to talk and I love to give advice. So this is like my wheelhouse. So that is me joining Authortube in a nutshell. Brevity is the soul of wit, and I must therefore not be witty because this is so long. But I'm really looking forward to making lots of videos about writing and books, and as I take the journey of my debut year, I have 11 months until my book comes out, and I'm early enough in the process that I can clue everyone in and like bring everyone into it and like give you the step-by-step of like how it works and what's going on. And I'm really